Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bravo Tea with a Stay at Home Mom. I'm Erica, and I'm ready to talk all things Bravo. Welcome back, everybody. On this episode, we're going to be recapping the Real Housewives of New Jersey for the second week and then some Summerhouse. But as you guys know, I'm a big Jersey fan, so I want to start it off with Jersey. We see our girl Danielle Cabral taking her daughter, nonetheless, to modeling. She said she just got her signed. Didn't shock me at all. She said she is going to be throwing a celebration of life for Nate because he is cancer free of 6 years. So he had brain cancer at a young age. She said that he just got up one day when they were married and he couldn't walk and he collapsed. And they found the tumor in his brain, and good for him for being cancer free, because they always say like the 5 year mark, you're pretty much out of the clear. So he's 6 years. This is great. They're going to go down to the Jersey Shore and have a little celebration of life for a good old Nate. And then we swing it to Paulie's Palatius. Can't really call it a bachelor pad anymore because Dolores lives there, but just manly, wonderful, looks like you can't touch anything in it house. Got the two Rolls Royces backed in to the driveway. Just so fancy in there. Like, children definitely cannot go in that home. My children would break everything. He has like a whole glass wall of wine. So that's a no for having children in there. Dolo is just talking about her ramping up her real estate again. She said she likes to feel independent because she never wants to be in that place of where we kind of caught a glimpse of it, where she really just like leaned on Frank as a crutch. And she said when they got divorced, she had no money of her own, no job, no skill, like didn't know what to do. And she just never wants to be in that place again. But Paulie said he supports that and he loves that. And she is telling him that they are going to be heading to the Jersey Shore for this celebration, and he's like, you could tell he's judging because even though he like looks like a Guido-ish in some ways and is like a more Dolores' style opposed to David. He was so boring. Ugh. Ugh. Um, he's just like doesn't even know like the Jersey Shore. I feel like he's just like I don't even know if he's ever been to it before. Like, this may be his first time. Um, but then we see Teresa getting emotional because Gabriella is leaving for college soon. And she's going to the University of Michigan. So it's not going to be a drive away like Gia was at Rutgers. And when her and Louie were talking about the sadness of Gabriella leaving, I noticed that Teresa had a Namaste Bitches t-shirt on, which is normal, repping the podcast. But then I noticed Louie's t-shirt said, "Gimme pizza, you old troll." So for all my listeners that have been watching Jersey since day one, we know our good old Melania was sassy pants, number one child. And she said that quote to Joe Giudice. So I found it weird, not that he was repping a shirt of their merch, because go ahead, go do you. I know all these people advertise their crap all over while they're on the show, which is fine, but found it weird that of all things he's wearing like a quote that was directed towards his like current wife's ex-husband. Like, that was weird, and their dad. Like, I'd rather him be wearing the Namaste Bitches podcast t-shirt, honestly. I just thought that was a little weird. But Teresa said they're all going to miss Gabriella because she's really like the rock of the family. And she said out of all the girls, when she was away in jail, that Gabriella emailed her every day. And she said she just really reminds her a lot of her mom. So that was sad. It has to be sad, everything they've all been through. And then one leaving, that's not going to be a drive away. And then now we know it wasn't on the show, but in current day, Melania is going to be going to the University of Tampa in like a year. So that's far away too. So Teresa's just like sad. I feel like when all the daughters leave the nest, but then we get another celebration, Antonia's 18th birthday. And Joe said that when him and Melissa got married, they got pregnant with Antonia within 2 months after their wedding. And he's just really trying to deal with her leaving for college, being the only daughter, the first child out of the house. And shout out to Delaware. She goes to the University of Delaware, which is about 15 minutes from my house. And every time I see her post, I'm like, been there, done that, know where you are, know what you're doing. Um, she's the third cast member on the Real Housewives of New Jersey to attend the University of Delaware. So our little state is getting popular amongst the Jersey people because Jenn Fessler's daughter either currently still is there or just graduated. And then Dolores' daughter, Gabby, went there. So very interesting that they're all picking UD. I mean, that's good because she got into Penn State too. And I'm not sure where else, but I was like, whoa, if she picks UD, that's going to be pretty crazy that she'll be so close to us. And she was having a cocktail at this 18th birthday celebration at this cutesy restaurant, but they just can't show it on camera because she's like cheersing with water. And I'm like, girl, we know you got one of those cute pink drinks that everyone's having. So, because we got Melissa's whole side of the family, because of course nobody from Joe's family is there. So he's getting a little emotional because his family's not there, but he's happy that Melissa's family, he said, has always embraced him with open arms. So Melissa's cousin that had gotten married, he hadn't gotten married yet, but he got married this fall. They're talking about that they need to ordain Joe to officiate the wedding, and they're going to call him Father Joe. And I always this is like a hot take and just my opinion. I always feel like Melissa had her family on the show a lot, and she thought like maybe we could get our own spin-off show, like me and my sisters and like my mom and like I don't know, like always felt like they always liked being on the camera and she always had them around a lot. Um, that's just a weird random fact that I've always thought about, but her sisters live in Tom's River still, which is where Melissa is from, which is like Seaside Heights, Jersey Shore, where they filmed Jersey Shore on MTV. So that's not like down the street from where her and Joe live. So that would be complicated to do a whole show where they live down there and Melissa and Joe live where they live. But I don't know, just always like a thought that I was like, maybe they want to be like making their own show. But I mean, it has to be sad that, Antonia can't even have like Melania there because I feel like that would be awkward. Like I watched the Watch What Happens live after, and person that wrote in, Andy read the question. It said, "Do the cousins still at least communicate?" And Melissa said, "Yeah, they'll like text now and again and like say like happy birthday, but I don't know if they like meet up in person." And I don't think Melania would go to, like, an event that, like, Melissa and Joe are gonna be at. Like, they saw each other last year at a prom together, and obviously, that was, like, not planned. They were just happened to be in the same place, and they hung out, but I don't think they're picking up the phone saying, "Hey, do you wanna go to lunch?" But even if they did, they'd be alone, and I could see that. I can't see her sitting at this table with everyone else because I think it would just make Melania feel uncomfortable. Even if they wouldn't make her feel uncomfortable, it's just naturally like awkward. I mean, for Teresa and Joe to not talk this whole season, it's going to be really interesting and sad. And yeah, I don't know how conducive it is to move forward with them not talking, but it's going to be fascinating to watch. I'll tell you that. But then we get Teresa just chit-chatting with Gia, and she graduated from Rutgers. She moved back home. She's getting her law degree. She's going to take her LSATs to get into law school. And she doesn't know if she wants to do immigration law or criminal law because she got into all this because of what happened to Joe Giudice. Um, they still fight for him to be able to come in the United States because I'm just going to say right now, I know he did something wrong. He did a crime, he did the time. And yes, he is not a citizen. So that's why they deported him, out of the country and he can't come back. But I think it's a little extreme for the crime he did that he could never, ever, ever come back here for like their graduation or like their wedding. Like obviously, I guess all the daughters are going to be having destination weddings in the Bahamas because they want their father there. And I just think it's sad, like, Gia just graduated, he couldn't go to it. Like, let's have him, like, be monitored by somebody. He's there, he's in, he's out, he's here for, like, 2 days, you know? That's, like, all he wants. So, they are still fighting for him to be able to do stuff like that. And I could care less if he was coming into the country to do that because, we got a lot of other crazy people doing crazier things than Joe Giudice not paying his, taxes and signing some bad papers. But then we got Danielle and Jen Aiden coming over to Teresa's house because they're all going to do M sculpt on their butts. And I've always wanted to try this on like the lower ab region. So it's like that vibrating, shocking machine that, like, if you do it on your abs, they say it's like doing like 1,000 crunches, or like for the butt, it'd be like doing like 1,000 squats, I guess. But all the free crazy things they get to do on these shows just for the advertisements, I'm so jealous of. Like, I would be a friend of, not even take a paycheck, but want to be along for all these free endorsed things and just get to do this. Cause I'm sure if you went in a spa, like a med spa, especially up there in Jersey, it'd be very expensive to do this, or but to buy a package to do it. But Jen Aiden wants no part in doing it in Teresa's kitchen because she said when she does it, she needs laughing gas. So I guess Bill has one of these at his place, and she said they always knock her out with a little laughing gas, which was funny. I didn't know it would like hurt that bad. Like, beauty is pain when you get Botox and stuff like that. Like, it's a little pinch, but I guess Jen Aiden ain't having it. She needs to get medicated to do any of these things. But then we have Margaret going to play pickleball with Rachel and Melissa. And I'm sorry, but every time Margaret speaks on camera, I cannot stand the sound of her voice. I liked her when she first came on the show, but I do not like her anymore. She's just too much. She's annoying. Um, just the way she's taken some people down or done things, I don't like it. I know they all do play dirty at the end of the day, but and if we want to talk about people that don't even look the same, her. Look at her season 1 and look at her now. I know you could say that about like Teresa and Melissa too. Like, oh my God, they don't look the same either. But no, Margaret literally doesn't look the same. Like, I don't think, if I didn't watch the show and you showed me like 2 pictures, I don't even know if I'd be able to know that was her. And her hair, too blonde. It's like literally white. And she's taking too much Ozempic, because I'm just going to go ahead and assume she's doing something like that, because she got so thin so quick. And I can tell it in her face that that's what she's getting. And they're all playing the pickleball, and you could tell she's not athletic. So you're not fooling me. You are not like all of a sudden like dieting and exercising like crazy, because she loves that coffee mate in her coffee. And I feel like she doesn't cook. She strikes me as the type that goes to a restaurant or orders takeout every single night. And you could even get healthy food, but it's still just not as healthy as cooking at home. But they sit down to kind of shit talk Teresa, which is funny because everyone's always like, oh, their storyline is talking about Teresa. But I have to say one thing. I don't know where we got off with this like storyline. Like, you need to have a storyline every season. It's like, when the show first started, no one had a storyline. Their storyline was, I'm a stay-at-home real housewife. Like, that's my storyline every season, every year. And then, like, of course, stuff happens, but it's like, why do we need a specific storyline? Or people say Melissa never has one. Teresa's her storyline. It's like, well, last year they were building a house. You could say that was a storyline. And this year, Antonia is going off to college. You could say that's the storyline, but it's like, why does it have to be a specific like title, like for cliff notes of a storyline? So Rachel's talking about having arthritis. I guess that's her storyline for the season. Like, I don't know, because I don't really care that she has arthritis, but maybe she's trying to explain why she wasn't that good at pickleball. But it's like, it's probably because you never played pickleball before, and that's fine. You bought this outfit on Amazon and the pickleball paddle for the day just for filming, and that's fine. And I thought Randall Emmett was going to pop out and be their instructor. That would have been really funny. Lala would have been mad, but of course she can yell at Ariana. I can't wait for the reunion. I can't wait to recap part 1 of the reunion. I have a guest coming on for that, so that's going to be very fun. But anytime I think of pickleball, I think of Randall Emmett all the time. So Danielle sits next, and she gets her ass zapped, and she's trying to have a serious conversation with Teresa when she's getting the zap. So that's funny. And she's saying that she's going to be staying at the Fuda household for the weekend at the Jersey Shore when they're there for the celebration of life. And Teresa is like, oh, it's fine if you want to be friends with her. I'm not going to hold that against you. It's fine. And I will say, Teresa like says stuff like that, but deep down, you know that she's mad that she doesn't like Rachel and you're going to stay there. But that's when we have to say, it's hard when you film these shows. You can't really tell people not to talk to the people when you're filming. It's like off camera. Like, I think that's what Ariana, like, meant with Sheena. It's like, I'm not gonna be mad at you if you film a scene with Tom Sandoval, but I may have feelings and be mad if while we're not filming the season, you're getting lunch with him and laughing together because look what he did to me and I'm supposed to be your friend. So I feel like that's kind of how they all think. And I feel like that's what Teresa thinks. Like, "Oh, I'm not gonna be mad at you because we're filming the show, but like I may judge you if like when we're off camera, you're going out to dinner with them." That's how I would be. But Rachel is saying that the gate is totally closed. Nothing Teresa could say or do she would ever forgive her because Teresa was saying that her husband was the biggest drug dealer in Bergen County. So they took it as is. Teresa mean was. And then Rachel in her confessional goes, he was selling pot at age 17 and got arrested. That's it. Now, I don't know about that because I've listened to a lot of podcasts and he was a drug dealer and that's fine. And the ex baby mama was like a drug addict. So that's totally fine because he has cleaned up his image and the past is the past. But I don't know why she's lying, like, acting like he only smoked pot, and back then getting arrested for that, it's like, I don't know about that girl, and, yeah, I don't know why she would even take it as Teresa's talking about now. No, Teresa does not think he goes down the street and sells crack current day in Bergen County, like, no, um, that's why the gate is closed because of her saying that. So I thought that was a little weird because it's like, well, he was a drug dealer, so I don't know why you're that offended by that. I don't know. And then she goes into like, oh, you're like talking about jail, but like you're an ex-con and you went to jail. And then I'm like, oh my God, here we go about that. But then everyone is arriving down the shore. I'm going to Jersey Shore, bitch! And they're all going to their separate houses. Now, my favorite one is Jennifer Aiden getting the boardwalk food delivered into her house, shoving a whole slice of boardwalk pizza in her mouth. I was dead. I was like, "Oh my god, you get it, girl. When you're at the Jersey Shore, you got to get the boardwalk pizza. I mean, it's just the best." And she's like, "I'm doing that. Bill, suck it out in the liposuction off camera and for next season. I don't care. I'm having my boardwalk pizza." But then so we have Teresa and Dolo staying at the Aiden's house. And then we have Margaret staying with Joe and Melissa. And then we have Danielle, Nate, and then Jenn Fessler and her husband staying at John and Rachel Fuda's house. Oh, and of course, Joe Benino is with Margaret. But they're sitting outside at Melissa's house, and Melissa has to put a ponytail in her mom's hair because she's sitting there. It's all windy. It looked so windy, like they would blow over. And because she has broken her wrist, she like fell when she was holding their nephew, and to save the baby, she like obviously crushed her arms. So it's self-sacrifice. But she's like, I can't even like do anything, and I can't do my hair. So she's just sitting there like a potato. Melissa has to do the ponytail for her. And then Margaret is just shitting on Jennifer's house, basically. She's like, thank God we're sitting here in the peace and quiet. And I would not want to be at Jennifer's house on the boardwalk, those kids screaming all night long. It's like, all right, girl, like I get it. Like hers is on the end of the boardwalk. So it does definitely get loud, I'm sure. But it's like, I don't see you going to your own house. You're staying at somebody else's house. You're like shitting on her house. It's like, at least they have a house. I'd rather have a house and it be loud on the boardwalk than have no shore house to go to at all. It's like, but that's what I mean. Always like shitting and whatever. And it's like, you know what? They got what, 4 young kids? Don't they have 4? Or do they have 5? I don't even know. So it's like, maybe like they kind of wanted to be there. Like, I'm sure Bill could afford to get one that's not on the boardwalk down there. He's the plastic surgeon. Maybe they just wanted that. Or maybe he's like, it's, we don't have to drive to the boardwalk. It's just right here. Our kids can walk down with their babysitter. It's like, I don't know. But it's like, there we go again. You're just shitting on them. They're not even there. And then it's like, you think they're awful people, but all you do is sit around and talk about them. Um, but then Danielle and Nate arrive at the Fudas and they're like, we hope there's not going to be any drama and tension tonight at the party, which is always funny when they say that, like, oh my God, I hope no one's going to cause a scene. It's like, okay, you guys purposely cause scenes on these shows. We can say that we hope no one does. And John Fuda just says as long as no one pushes him, there won't be any drama, which is true. Like he's not going to go up to anybody, I think, and be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. But if somebody says something, he ain't backing down, which I can understand that as well. So then Joe Gorgas make a little cappuccino. He's always making the cappuccinos. I would love to know how many he has a day. And he puts on Margaret's wig. And then I'm like, why does she have like a literal wig like with her? It was so weird. And he looks so funny putting it on. She has, like, no hair. So, also, I feel like that's why she's on Ozempic too, because she probably lost all her hair. And it's like, she always had short hair, but it's really short, but it looks really thin. And it's like, that's why she must have this whole, like, wig to, like, put on top of her hair to make it look like she actually has hair. So, they're all getting ready to go to the celebration of life party. And at the Fuda household, they are making roadies for the car. And Danielle, of all people, has never heard of a roadie. And I was shocked. I was like, girl, you're from like Staten Island, like partier. Like, she looks like a good time, fun. Like, I feel like I was like shocked. Like, it's a drink you make to drink in the car. So that was very odd. And then they're all just I wonder, like, how far away it was. It looked like it was kind of a long car ride for them, because they're both getting Sprinter vans to go in, and then that's when I noticed the most, like, Margaret literally doesn't even look like the same human being from when she first came on the show. And then Danielle said she didn't invite Jackie because she basically implied last season that she was trashy and that she fished her clothes out of the hamper. That was mean. That wasn't nice because Danielle didn't even do anything to her and she like had to make comments. And I was shocked that she made uh comments like that even though they were about clothes, but clothes are like on our body and she had serious body issues. So I thought that was a little mean and I'd probably be with Danielle too. I feel like Jackie was a little snooty and snotty to Danielle and I feel like she treated her that way because she almost saw like, well, you stole my spot on the show, so I'm mad. But it's like, well, why don't you go treat Rachel Fuda like that? Make fun of her bad nose job. Oh my God. She's such a pretty girl. But every time I see that nose, like she kind of looks like a Whoville character. It's not nice to say, but it's just that's not a good nose job. Whoever she went to, nobody should go to for a nose job. I don't know if she looked on the person's website, but or maybe he made false promises. We all know how that can go. But they arrive at the celebration of being cancer free. And I always love to see the food at the Jersey parties because, first of all, they all actually eat the food. Unlike on Beverly Hills, all those women don't even eat. And they always have the Italian spread that I want. I want all the prosciutto, the mozzarella. I want all of that food that they are all consuming. It looks so good. So Danielle has this like choir come from Washington, D.C. to sing. And I was like, whoa, this is like really like a happening intense thing. But then of course one side of the group sits down with two newish friends of housewives. I think these are the two new people. And they're giving them the lowdown. And it's like, I always find it weird when we have to like intro the friends of, because it's like they're not the main people. So they're not starting right off. And we don't get intros to them and anything. It's like they're weaseling in this party and they're just casually chit chatting with these people. And you're going to, fool me to believe that somebody in this group knows who they are. It's like they maybe have met these people one time in their life and it's like they're not their friends. Like technically Melissa brought Rachel Fuda on and she was the connection, but it's because the sons go to high school and play sports together. But it's like, who knows if Melissa and Rachel really ever even met? Like, just because your kids are friends at school doesn't mean like you ever even meet the parents sometimes. So sometimes when they're like, "Oh, so and so brought this person on the show," it's like, "No, they didn't, but that's okay." But they're giving them the lowdown, and then when Teresa walks in, it is like eh, crazy because Melissa is just like you can tell like immediately so uncomfortable, and then she's like, "Oh, blah, 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 blah." And then even Margaret was like, "Be quiet." Like, I was surprised that, like, Melissa wasn't just, like, quiet when she was walking in. She's like, "Ow, look at me," or, like, being like that, and Margaret's like, "Be quiet." I was kinda surprised she said, "Be quiet," but I was surprised Melissa even talked. It's like, "Shut up." Like, yeah, she's walking in. You know she's walking in, dummy. Like, you guys are still on the same show together. Queen Bee has arrived, honestly. She's the OG. Like Vicky, OG of the OC, she's OG of NJ, okay? You came on like season what, 3, 4? So it's like pipe it down over there, sweet cheeks. And then Jenn Fessler, they're all getting a little cocktailed up. She comes up to Jennifer Aiden and they're saying hi, and she's saying hi to Teresa. And she's like, "Do you have your pot pen to smoke?" To Jennifer Aiden. She's like, "Can I have it? I'm gonna go talk to Teresa." So funny. So then they sit down and Teresa, you know, gotta give her credit, just flat out says, "I know that everyone met at Margaret's house before the reunion to take Louie and I down, and I need to know, like, your part in it, and if you said, we didn't execute the plan as we should have behind stage, because that's what I heard." So she said, "No, I didn't say." She's like, "Yes, I was at her house, and yes, they were having, like, a meeting of the minds," which I'm sure all these people do, please, They at least have a phone call with a friend the night before. I would. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna have, like, a whole FBI photo board up to, like, do a takedown, but probably gonna, like, talk about, "Oh, well, if someone says this, what are you gonna say?" Like, I've been thinking about it, or, like, the whole Scandival thing, like, sometimes things happen and you have to kinda, like, meet with someone, but she's like, "I did not say it like that. I said, you guys brought those manila envelopes and never even took anything out of them," which is very true. That is a true fact. So we'll never know what is in that envelope. And that is an old trick. It's like, "Oh, I got an envelope full of crap, but I'm never actually going to take anything out." Like, when they print out like the text messages and stuff, sometimes we've actually seen proof of the text messages, or like they're sitting there. Usually Andy never says, like, "Oh, can I see that giant pile of paper? And we're going to go through this one by one and look at it." But it is funny when they bring, like, evidence, but yeah, his was all buttoned up in, like, a folder, and we never even saw him open the folder. It's like, open it and show us one sheet at least, like, something. Leave it for Andy to comb through at a later date at his home by himself. But Jenn Fessler is not gonna be playing into their games, and she wants to have her own opinion of Teresa, and she said she likes Teresa, and she's like, "Did you, when you referred to the drug dealer comment, mean like today or like back in the day?" And she's like, "Of course I meant back in the day. Why would I mean today?" She's like, "I swear on the four daughters." And Jenn Fessler's like, "If she's swearing on the four daughters, like, that's serious shit. Like, Teresa ain't playing no games with the swearing and the daughters." So I don't know why they even think she means today. She clearly is just trying to, like, they brought up her going to jail, and it's like, "Okay, well, you went to jail too and did bad things back in the day." Like, she's just trying to tit for tat, and I don't know why they're so mad thinking she means today. So it's gonna be interesting this season, like I said, seeing them, like, not really interact, but then get the people that are on the fence. Like, Rachel, we're gonna see this season is gonna get upset with Jenn Fessler at being more like, friends with Teresa, but she's like, "Hey, just because you don't like her doesn't mean I have to not like her," and I know that's gonna cause a wedge, because the way that we saw, like, some of the previews, like, her and Rachel go to lunch, and she's like, "I don't even know why you're crying." And then, of course, Margaret will do anything to, like, shit talk Teresa and Louis to her, when friends do that, it's hard. Like, it's kinda like, if you don't wanna see and speak to that person, that's fine, but maybe, I can have my own opinion, but if every time you see them, they just shit talk that other person, it's like, "Alright, like, I can't even be friends with you now because you won't leave me be." And at the end of the day, they all film a show. We gotta remember they do have to communicate on some level. But we're gonna take a little break, and then we will recap Summerhouse. Do you ever struggle finding unique gifts for kids that they will be excited about? Look no further. Ellie and Mila Boutique has everything from custom jean jackets, backpacks, sneakers, and more. Go to ellieandmila.com to use my code BRAVOT10 to receive 10% off your order. That's LLIE and MILA.com to use my code BRAVOT10 to receive 10% off your order. I know both of my daughters have a custom jean jacket from there, and they love it, and I love it. Every time they wear it, everyone compliments it, asks me where I got it. So if you are thinking about getting one for your own child, a family member, or as a gift, these are perfect. So again, that's ellieandmila.com and use my code BRAVOT10 to receive 10% off. And we're back, and we pick back up with Carl and Lindsay having their awful, awkward convo about what Carl's parents said when he was visiting them at the Jersey Shore about the hesitation of Lindsay and Carl moving forward with the marriage. Um, Lindsay's like, I really don't want to beat a dead horse, but Carl said he just wants to give her the support that she needs. And then she says in her confessional that her parents would never do this. She's like, at the end of the day, I'm an adult woman and my parents would not get involved like this. Now, I don't know. I'm like half and half. Like I understand what she means, but it's like if your parents see you clearly miserable and you're venting to them, like they're probably going to say like, "Okay, well then maybe don't get married if you're miserable right now. It's not going to get better." It's like if you vented all of this to your parents, they wouldn't say that. Like I think she doesn't even realize how much Carl tells his parents, and that can be the problem too when you overshare, but then you don't want to break up with someone. Well, they're going to have opinions about it, and you got to get ready to listen to that. But Jesse is a little vulnerable and a little moody because he says in his confession 2 weeks ago he felt something um, in his, pardon my French, like balls, and thought that his cancer came back because he had had testicular cancer and he has not reached the 5 year mark. He's close. So he's very nervous that it has come back. But people think he's being mopey because Sierra in the previous week called him a trash bag. So Kyle and West say that Jesse is acting like his goldfish died in the kitchen and they've never seen him be mopey like this, but it's because they don't know yet that that's why he's being a little quiet and reserved. So Lindsay goes upstairs to tell Amanda and Paige about Carl talking to his parents. And just said how it's annoying he's, like, blabbing his mouth to them about everything and then coming in with all these opinions, and then it's making it awkward, and they are agreeing for the first time ever on all these seasons, like, Paige is agreeing with Lindsay, so it's like, I'm maybe more on team Lindsay. I don't know. It's like it's hard. I think I'm on team, like, both, like, you both should have called it off, like, why do you both think you should get married? I don't know. But the astrologer finally arrives, and then she does, like, a lot of tarot card readings for everyone, and at the end, she does this, like, pendulum swinging, and if it swings, it means, like, yes. So it said Paige asked, "Am I getting engaged in 2024?" And it starts, like, swinging, meaning yes, and then she asked if her boyfriend will move to New York, and it swung and meaning yes, and then she went, "Good, as he should." It was funny, but, like, can I just go on my tangent that I always do? Like, why do you need him to move to New York? He has a business down there and a law firm down there, just bought a beautiful house, gutted and redid the whole thing. Like, I see them swimming in the pool all the live long day down there. He's just gardening too. I got some tips on when I do my garden and my tomatoes from Craigie. It's like, what is he moving to New York for? Just because you like to live in New York? Like, you don't own a house or have any businesses there, and you could fly back up and do the summer in the Hamptons. You could go up every weekend. It's just maybe you could even get a cheaper apartment and keep it in New York, but do more full-time in Charleston. It's just like, I don't like that it's like, "Oh, you have to move here, but you're just moving here because I just like it here." And you're leaving behind all this important stuff. And hi, he films his show too down there. Don't forget. Um, I love Paige, but this is when I'm like, girl, you need to like realize that you just like New York. Like Craig has a life where he is. I know you have a life too, but he has permanent things in the ground that cannot pick up and move with him. Like he actually goes in his store. I have a friend that was just down there and saw him in his store. So it's like if he lives in New York, he definitely ain't gonna be at the store every day. So I don't know. Carl and Kyle go outside to talk over cigars, though, and some lover boys, but of course, one non alcoholic for Carl. He just said he's so screwed because of how his mom feels. Because this is what I mean. When you complain so much, there's no turning back for some people. So let's say Carl would have went through it with the wedding. Like, how's his parents going to feel? They're probably going to be like, all right, like, not really supportive of this. And then that's weird when your family isn't supportive of who you've married. And Kyle said that he, in his confessional, he's honestly been worried since day one, but never wanted to say anything because he was scared. And I could see that. I mean, he's trying to, I think keep a friendship with Carl, so he doesn't want to step on his toes too much. And Carl leaving Loverboy last year, I think, was like a big eye-opening thing and sad for him. So he just doesn't want to disappoint him and, let it come in between them. Because at the end of the day, Carl will make his decision based on himself. And Lindsay. That's what they have to ultimately do. It can't be other people forcing them to not get married. But all the guys get up and go work out, minus West, because he wants to snuggie with Sierra. I have to say this too. Like when they were doing the tarot card reading, she's like massaging him from behind. Like she's all over him. And I'm like, girl, just have sex with him. Like it is kind of weird. I mean, you didn't just meet yesterday and I don't know if she's just so worried about getting her heart broken, but West is not Austin. So we need to stop in our brain thinking, oh, well, I've been down this road before with someone on this show. It's like totally different people. Gabby, Lindsay, and Danielle get up and get bagels. Nothing like a good old New York bagel. Maybe that's why Paige doesn't want to move. She doesn't miss those bagels. She's like, they're just not cutting it in Charleston. But Amanda and Paige are left alone, and they're like, this is how we like it. Everyone's gone. And they just talk about the astrologer and how Amanda's tarot card reading was spot on to what her, Paige, and Sierra were talking about in that Old Navy in the previous episode about her doing something for herself. And that conversation is going to come a little later in the episode with Kyle. But Carl talked with a non-alcoholic beverage distributor when he was at the Berries workout, and he's just still terrified to death to tell Lindsay any of this stuff, and it's so weird. She did know he was talking to somebody about it, but he still hasn't really talked to her about the lover boy stuff that thoroughly and been like, "No, like, I 100% wanna do this." This is also, like, not a positive sign of getting married, like, you're scared of your wife to talk to her? It's weird. Um, Jesse just says to Sierra that his feelings were hurt by the trash bag comment and they kiss and make up. Literally, they kiss and make up. Sierra said, can I kiss him on the lips, West? And he said, yeah, whatever. And Sierra went, I have the coolest boyfriend ever. And Jesse was like, oh my God, I didn't know you had a boyfriend. So it is weird. It's like, you're calling him your boyfriend. And then Danielle said, did you just say boyfriend? And Paige, when she comes out, she's like, "Oh, I hear Sierra has a boyfriend, and it's West. It's this man over here." And it is a little weird. It's like, I don't think you can be boyfriend or girlfriend at that age and you haven't slept together. Like, it's weird. And I think it's weird. She's like, "Oh, my boyfriend," and then like West doesn't call her his girlfriend. I don't know. They're avoiding this awkward conversation to have in private together. Honestly, we already know that. But speaking of awkward conversations, we're getting Laurel. Carl and Lindsay. Oh my God, that could be their mashup name. That's another one because I feel like I did another one before. Laurel. So Carl and Lindsay talk in the kitchen about his work and said that Loverboy is really what he wants to do. And he feels that he did a start like the non-alcoholic thing with Kyle and he wants to see it through and do it, and that's where his heart and passion is, to give back to like the sober community. And a lot of people like on Vanderpump, I saw them hitting all those Heineken zeros and like the other one, I don't know what it was. I saw Kyle Richards do like the Peroni non-alcoholic on the shows. So some people are choosing to just not even drink, and not because of like Carl, like they have a problem. So the non-alcoholic beverages really are blowing up, and he's probably like, it was I think he thinks it was a mistake to leave Loverboy anyway, and he's like, I gotta go back because now I'm, like, jobless, she's bitching that I have no job, this is really what I wanna do, so this is what it's gonna be. And Lindsay is just comparing it to going back to an ex. Like you feel comfortable and vulnerable with that person. So that's why you always go back. And he's like, I just want your support and I want you to stand behind me. And she said, I'm just asking the questions because I am trying to support you. And I'm just making sure you're making the right choice. So I get it. Cause then they go out, they have the heated little combo. Lindsay gets upset, cries. Then they split off into boy section, girl section, talking about it, of course. The girls are all understanding what Lindsay's saying. She's like, I'm not just going to be like, yeah, go do anything. And I'm not going to have any questions. I even looked to my husband because he was watching it with me. Because as you know, I make him watch all this nonsense with me. And I said, this isn't weird when you come home and talk about business stuff. Like, I don't just say, like, oh, yeah, go give that person money and let's do this. Like, I have questions. That doesn't mean I have no faith in you. I'm just asking the questions and we're going through it and making decisions as a team. So the guys are kind of, I feel like hearing a different spin that Carl says, he's like, "Oh, she just never supports me in anything." And then Jesse in his confessional is like, "Honestly, I'm team Switzerland because I get why Lindsay's asking questions. She's just asking." Um, and West is like, "You just want to feel supported from her." Carl said, "My advice to you, Jesse and West, is stay single, and Kyle and I are going to go drown in the deep end." And I'm like, oh my God, you're not even married yet, and you're saying that. So then they all get up to go boating, and Kyle loses his pants while they're on those little fake, like, I call them like mini dolphin jet skis. You just like lay your body on it and you like makes you look like you're swimming through the water like a dolphin. So they were all already having some lover boys before they got on this pontoon boat. Now they're taking shots. Even Paige is taking like a shot. So they're all getting all sorts of messed up and his pants fall off. And he has the whitest butt. He just has a straight up bathing suit tan, so white, like his butt has never seen the light of day. And they're like, oh my God, does anyone have extra shorts for Kyle? And randomly, Sierra has these little orange shorts that can be pulled off as a men's bathing suit. So it's fine for him. And Paige then pulls Wes aside to address the texting other girls because she was notified on the last episode that he is communicating with other girls. So she's like, are you dating them? Are you sleeping with them? He said, not dating the other girls and not sleeping with the other girls. I'm just not answering people back. So she's like, okay, I get that. Because like I'm sure even in Paige's brain, she's like, you guys have not had the conversation of we are exclusive, we are boyfriend, girlfriend, and you haven't let him hit it home run. So that's definitely going to be a no in the age gap that you are to be, this is my boyfriend. And then it's like, yeah, we still haven't slept together either, but we've been boyfriend, girlfriend for months. Like, no. So he is saying that to Paige. He feels like he can't be exclusive with someone that he's not sleeping with. And she's like, you know how friends say, if you hurt my friend, I'll kill you. She's like, I really am that friend that will kill you. And I think he's a little scared of Paige. She's probably going to get that Long Island Italian mafia behind her, call up Tony Soprano and people and kill West. So it's like out of West's hands though at this point. Like, so I hope him and Sierra, I wonder the talk they ever had. He even said in his confessional, "I'm not trying to be mean, but I've never even had this talk with Sierra. I don't think I owe it 100% to Paige, but I think he needs to have the talk then. He needs to say, hey, you're like calling me your boyfriend at the pool, but it's like, are we boyfriend, girlfriend? And if we are, why won't you let me sleep with you? Because that's getting weird that we just snuggle and kiss and that's it. And we're how old? So wondering if they ever had that talk because I don't think current day they are boyfriend or girlfriend. And I do wonder if they did actually sleep together though. So Amanda pulls Kyle aside, probably not a good time because he's all drunk, but the producers are like, time's a ticking. You need to have this conversation with him on camera. So they're talking about Loverboy, and she's just talking about the astrologer and said that that was all like really, resonating with her because of that talk she had with Paige and Sierra for her having her own identity. And she's like, I don't want to leave Loverboy, but I need something for myself. And I feel like I just live in your shadow. And Kyle is just, you could tell his mind is racing. He's panicking. He's like, we've had the worst year we've ever had. So then they show a flashback of 3 weeks prior of their business meeting. It said they've been losing money and they had a $1.5 million loss. And he's like, of all times, you're telling me you want to like be less focused on Loverboy and we're losing money. And she said, can it just not be about you for once? And it's hard because it's like, this is actually a company that already exists. So you can't leave if they're and dedicate your time to somewhere else when this is already existing, to then start something that doesn't exist yet that maybe could be put on the back burner for another year or something. And it's hard. I get it. Like she wants her own thing, but it's like, maybe do like some influencing, like that's like easier and that could be your thing, or something that's not starting your own business when you are supposed to really be working and dedicating your time to help your partner in his business. Cause he did say that he went, I'm trying to put money for our future for like having kids and a family. And like he probably wants someone, Kyle's ideal would probably be to get Loverboy popular. So then investors would want to buy it, like give him a shit ton of money and he's out. Like, but he needs to still keep cranking because I think he said it's only been like 3 years. So it's like, it's still new. He needs to, still put in the time and sweat equity while he can, while they have no kids. So I also get that too. Um, Jesse starts crying when they get back home in the Uber. So we don't see it, we just hear it. And I guess it's because he has told West about his appointment. And he's like, I'm just scared. And he's like, I don't know why I'm this emotional. And that moment between him and West was so nice. Like, I love when people get on these shows together at the same time and really become really close, like they have. Like, they're BFF for L, Ride or Die, Bros before Hoes. So I feel bad for Jesse. He was really, like, sad, and I'm starting to like him. When he first came on the show, I'm like, you're a bit of, like, a douche," but especially when he was hitting on Paige, but now I'm really liking him a lot. So Kyle goes up and tries to talk to Amanda. She's just not having it. I feel like she's unraveling a thing of, like, Pillsbury cinnamon rolls because everyone wants to eat, and they have, like, these Costco-sized boxes on the table. Everyone's ripping into them like vultures, and they got, like, chicken nuggets, like Purdue chicken nuggets that Paige is like, "This smells like the straight middle school cafeteria." So they're all just like hangry and drunk and like wild, and they're just having, I would have ordered a bunch of pizzas. That's what I would have done. Like someone should have door dashed it from the Uber, but everyone was perhaps too drunk and like forgetful. So they're like, oh shit, we don't have any food when they get home. But Kyle trying to talk to Amanda, and she's just not really having it, and he storms off, throws his phone because he's, like, talking to himself in a rage, doesn't even really realize Carl and Danielle are outside. And then he throws his phone, I hope it was okay, at, like, the pool house, and he's like, "Imagine trying to babysit your own wife. Oh, now my wife wants a passion project. Imagine if I just quit my job. I wanna be a DJ. If Amanda worked for me, she'd be fired." And I'm like, "Wait, she does work for you?" I'm like, I was a little confused by that comment because she is not a partner. She's not on any stock in Loverboy, and they have a prenup saying if they got divorced tomorrow, she ain't getting Loverboy. She can't come after Loverboy. So all of that was a little confusing to me. I get what he means. It's like, you're not a regular employee. You are my partner in life. You do get paid for the work you do, but it's like, why do you now want to like leave me when we're losing money at our company and I'm your husband? And Danielle was tried to kinda, like, talk him off the ledge, like, "Kyle, we understand, but," and he's like, "No, I don't wanna hear it. She'd be fired." And then Carl's, like, understanding why Kyle's so upset because maybe he's like, "This is something Lindsay would do to me. Like, I'd be, like, in the trenches, and she'd be, like, worried about herself." I mean, maybe Amanda should just do, like, the little Amazon Lives, like, with Paige or something. Like, I get if she wants something for herself, but it's like, not the right time to start like a whole new business when yes, if you got divorced from Kyle tomorrow, you can't come after Loverboy, but that's understandable. But you still want to help your partner in their business, even if it doesn't belong to you at the end of the day. And I don't know. I did not watch the after show, but I did see a clip that he made a comment like, you know, I feel like Amanda just came up with this and told me about it and like wanted me to like research and do stuff about it. And like she hasn't even really looked into it. So like I'm not her father, like I'm her husband. And I'm like, oh no, you're like still being mean about those comments. I don't know when they film the after show. I don't know if it's like now or like during the filming time. I don't know when they do those. Like, because I know the confessionals they kind of do during and after, but I don't know about the after show because that's like a newer thing I've been watching. I've never watched any of them before this season on any of the shows, but I really like watching it because we get their confessionals, but I like them explaining pretty much the whole episode even more. It's like Cliff Notes kind of. I like it. But I can't wait for the VPR finale this week, part 1. You know, it's I don't know. I feel like a part 2 maybe will be the, like, in between bleh. Like, 3 is gonna be, like, the definitely the banger. I'm not sure when Joe is gonna come out, if she's gonna come out for the whole thing or what. But I'm excited. I'm gonna have a guest on for that, so very excited for that. And yeah, it's very interesting seeing the spiral downward of Carl and Lindsay. We're getting closer to seeing them break up, which is gonna be awkward. I can't even picture them doing that on camera. Like, that must be wild to be like, "Yeah, I don't wanna marry you," on camera, and Lindsay being like, "I can't believe there's cameras sitting in our apartment right now and this is happening." So, but Amanda and Kyle are having a rough patch too. I'm sad for them. Obviously, we know they're not divorced; they're still together. But sad anytime we see these people fight on camera. As always, this was so fun, and you could find me on Instagram at Bravo T with the Stay at Home Mom, Spotify, and Apple. Till next time, see ya.